The planet Zyphora shimmered in the soft light of its twin suns. Its seas sparkled like liquid silver, and vast forests stretched across the continents, hiding cities of glass and steel. Zyphora was a beautiful world, but beauty, the Zyphorans knew, did not protect them from danger. Deep in the heart of Zyphora's capital city, Counselor Liara stared at a large holographic screen. Red dots moved quickly across a star map. Each dot represented a ship, a threat. Her tentacles trembled slightly as she realized the truth. The Krathon fleet was coming. They were massive armored ships bristling with weapons. The Krathons did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. Counselor Liara, a younger aide, said nervously, "The fleet has already passed the outer systems. They will be here in 3 solar cycles." Liara's eyes narrowed. 3 solar cycles meant days, not enough time to prepare Zyphora's defenses. The planet's own fleet was strong, but it was not prepared for an enemy this advanced. She pressed a claw against her forehead and let out a deep sigh. There was only one option left. One option that no Zyphoran had dared consider for generations. She activated a hidden console. A transmission channel opened, pulsing in bright blue. She typed a short message in the universal protocol used for emergencies across the galaxy. "Help. We are Zyphora. The Krathons are coming. We will not survive alone. Please respond." The message was short, simple, and desperate. She hesitated before sending it. Legends warned of the humans who lived on harsh worlds. They were said to be fearless, brutal, and relentless. Many civilizations avoided them, fearing what their aid might cost. But the legends also spoke of their courage, their strength, and their ability to face impossible odds. Zyphora had no choice. She pressed the final key. The signal shot into the vastness of space. Far from Zyphora, in the dark void between stars, a fleet of ships reacted instantly to the message. The Deathworlder fleet stirred, awakened by the distress call. On board the flagship Iron Talon, Captain Arik Voss read the holographic message carefully. His face, weathered from decades of survival on the galaxy's deadliest planets, remained calm. Liara's message was clear: a world in danger, a species needing help. To most, this would be an opportunity. To Arik Voss, it was a challenge, a test of strategy, courage, and human endurance. "Plot a course for Zyphora," he commanded. His voice was calm but carried authority. "Prepare the fleet. They need us, and we never turn away from a fight." The ships of the Deathworlder fleet moved as one, a dark shadow stretching across the stars. On board, every human soldier knew the stories of Zyphora and the Krathons. Some whispered among themselves, wondering if the legends of the Krathons' cruelty were true. Others prepared quietly, polishing weapons and checking armor. For humans, danger was a familiar companion. They thrived where others would flee. Back on Zyphora, the first signs of the Krathon advance appeared. Red streaks of fire filled the void beyond the planet's atmosphere as small Krathon scout ships arrived. Their engines burned like molten iron, leaving trails of smoke that shimmered in Zyphora's twin suns. The alarms in the capital blared and citizens ran for shelter. Liara watched, her heart pounding. Her species had faced threats before, but nothing like this. The Krathons were systematic, destroying everything in their path. The city's defenses fired their energy beams at the approaching scouts. Some ships exploded, but many reached the planet's orbit. Zyphora would not survive long without aid. Suddenly, a bright flash of light appeared near the edge of the system. A ship unlike any other in the galaxy emerged from a fold in space. It was large and imposing, painted a dark metallic gray with streaks of battle scars. The Iron Talon had arrived. The transmission system crackled to life. A deep, calm voice filled the capital. "Zyphora," it said. "We are the Deathworlder fleet you sent for aid. We are here." The council chamber fell silent. Every Zyphoran present stared at the hologram of the human captain. They had heard stories of the Deathworlders, but seeing them was different. The humans were said to be fearless, survivors of the galaxy's deadliest planets. They thrived in environments that would kill others. Some claimed they were monsters, but monsters with honor. Liara stepped forward, her tentacles trembling slightly. "Why should we trust you?" she asked. "Legends tell of your ruthlessness. Your arrival, it may bring as much danger as the Krathons themselves." Captain Voss's holographic image remained steady. His eyes, sharp and alert, met hers. "We do not ask for trust," he said. "We ask for cooperation. You are in danger. We will help you survive, but survival is not easy. It requires effort, strategy, and sacrifice. Liara's mind raced. Could she risk it? Could she trust these humans? She had no choice. The Krathons were closing in. Time for hesitation was gone. Very well, she said finally. We will work with you. But understand this. SciFi will not be destroyed by anyone, human or otherwise. Captain Voss inclined his head slightly. Good. Then let us begin. The first order of business was reconnaissance. Humans boarded small skimmer ships and flew through Zephora's atmosphere. They observed the forests, mountains, and cities, noting every natural advantage that could be used against the Krathons. The Zypherans followed closely, astonished at how humans seemed to notice danger and opportunity in equal measure. They're analyzing everything, whispered one young officer to Liara. They move like the world itself is part of their strategy. Liara nodded. She had never seen such focus. Humans seemed fearless, but it was not recklessness. It was calculation, precision, and adaptability. Meanwhile, Captain Voss and his officers met in the Iron Talon's command room. Holograms of the incoming Krathon fleet floated above the table. Every ship, every weapon system, every potential path of attack was marked and analyzed. The Krathons underestimate us, Voss said. They think a civilized planet is weak. They think we are too few, but they do not know humans. We will use Zephora's world against them. Every forest, every mountain, every storm will be a weapon. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara, raised an eyebrow. You really think they can survive the first strike? Voss smiled faintly. They won't survive it. But they will survive the war. That's what matters. Back on Zephora, the first skirmishes began. Small Krathon squads attacked the outer cities, but humans and Zypherans coordinated swiftly. Humans set traps in forests and mountains. Using the planet's natural terrain, they ambushed the invaders. Even a small group of humans could hold off dozens of Krathons with clever planning and teamwork. The Zephrans began to see what humans could do. Fear turned into cautious hope. Captain Voss led by example, personally directing strategies from both the sky and the ground. His soldiers moved with silent efficiency, fearless in the face of danger. Liara watched from her observation tower as humans lured a Krathon squad into a canyon filled with electromagnetic storms. The ships struggled, their systems failing, and the humans captured several alive for intelligence. The Zephrans gasped. They had never seen such courage or such skill. By the end of Zephora's first day with the Deathworlder fleet present, several important truths became clear. The Krathons were dangerous and the threat was real, but humans, though strange, ruthless in legends, were undeniably capable. Liara found herself thinking of Captain Voss differently now. There was honor in his actions, even if they were harsh. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were also protectors, willing to risk everything to save another world. As night fell on Zephora, twin moons casting silver light over the forests, the planet's people began to prepare for the war to come. The Krathon fleet would arrive in full force soon, but now they were not alone. From orbit, the Iron Talon glimmered in the moonlight. The Deathworlder fleet would not turn away from this fight. Zephora had called for help, and humanity had answered. And somewhere deep in space, far beyond the reach of Zephora, the Krathons would soon learn that helping a planet in need sometimes brought consequences, far beyond what they expected. The first chapter of survival had begun, and the story of humans and Zypherans fighting together was only starting to unfold. The first light of Zephora's twin suns rose over the planet, illuminating forests that stretched like oceans of green. From orbit, the Deathworlder fleet gleamed in the early light, ready to deploy again. Humans had spent the night planning, analyzing every detail of the approaching Krathon invasion. Their experience in deadly worlds gave them an edge that few could understand, but the Zephrans were about to witness it firsthand. On the planet's surface, Counselor Liara walked among her soldiers. Nervous murmurs spread as the Zephoran officers tried to adapt to the humans' unconventional tactics. They move too fast, one officer whispered. They think in ways we cannot understand. Liara nodded. We must try. If we do not, Zephora will fall. Meanwhile, Captain Arik Voss and his officers convened in the Iron Talon's command room. Holographic projections of Zephora filled the room. Forests, mountains, rivers, cities, even underground caves. The Krathons will expect a simple defense, Voss said, his eyes scanning the map. They will not expect the planet itself to fight against them. We will use everything Zephora offers. Its terrain, storms, and wildlife. Every natural hazard is a weapon. Lieutenant Mara, his second-in-command, frowned. You want to use the storms? Voss smiled. Yes, we will force them into Zyphora's worst. Heat, wind, lightning. Humans can survive it. The Krathons cannot. Below humans prepared ground teams. Some climbed the tallest trees in Zyphora's forests, camouflaging their positions to observe the Krathon scouts. Others set traps in volcanic plains, laying magnetic nets and energy snares to disable enemy ships. Liara observed quietly, trying to understand these humans. They were unlike any Zyphoran she had ever met. Their movements were precise, their minds always calculating, and their courage unshakable. Yet beneath the surface there was a strange form of respect for life. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they valued survival and teamwork above all else. Look at them, Liara whispered to a junior officer. They do not panic. Even when danger is near, they stay calm and plan. The first Krathon scouts began probing Zyphora's defenses. Small fighter ships darted across the skies like red streaks of fire. Zyphora's energy turrets opened fire, but many ships slipped through fast and maneuverable. Then the humans struck. From forest canopies and mountain caves, Deathworlder sharpshooters fired specialized electromagnetic pulses at the scouts. Ships faltered, losing control, and several crashed into trees and cliffs. Others were captured intact for study. The Zyphorans gasped. They are using our forests as weapons, one officer exclaimed. Liara nodded. Yes, and they are teaching us to do the same. On the ground, small squads of humans coordinated with Zephyran engineers. Together they set up defensive lines around key cities. Energy barriers were combined with natural traps. Lava pits, dense forests, even sudden storms were used to slow the Krathon advance. Captain Voss moved among his soldiers, inspecting their readiness. Remember, he said, the Krathons fight with strength and firepower. We fight with brains and will. They expect a straight fight. We give them everything else. Hours passed. The Krathons pushed further into Zyphora's outer territories, expecting easy victories. But every step they took was met with clever resistance. Human ambushes forced Krathon ships into volcanic vents, where extreme heat damaged engines. Electromagnetic storms, carefully timed by human technicians, caused Krathon ships to malfunction mid-flight. Liara watched from an observation tower as a Krathon squad fell into one such trap. Energy nets pulsed, disabling engines, and the ships crashed safely into uninhabited plains. Zyphorans cheered quietly. For the first time they saw hope. Yet the humans did not celebrate. They remained focused, always thinking ahead. Captain Voss studied the battlefield with a quiet intensity. His mind raced through possibilities. Which Krathon tactics were predictable? Which traps could be set next, and how best to minimize civilian risk? At midday, a warning alarm rang through the Iron Talon. A large Krathon cruiser had broken through Zyphora's outer defenses and was heading toward a major city. Humans deployed immediately. Dropships carried squads directly to the city's outskirts, where they used the environment to their advantage. Forests suddenly became dense labyrinths of traps. Vine-like tendrils were electrified, and camouflaged mines hid beneath the soil. The Krathon cruiser advanced, unaware of the dangers awaiting it. When it reached the forest edge, dozens of human sharpshooters struck from above. Disabling pulses hit the cruiser's engines, forcing it to crash into a rocky canyon. The city was saved. Liara and her council watched in awe. How can they do this so quickly? She asked. Their reaction? It is instant but always precise. One of her officers answered quietly. Humans, they do not fear the wild. They understand danger, perhaps better than we ever could. Captain Voss, however, remained calm. This is only the beginning, he said. The Krathons will adapt. We must always be faster, smarter, and more creative. That night, humans held a briefing with Zephyran leaders. Holographic images showed Krathon movements and predicted future attacks. Voss explained the strategy clearly. The Krathons fight like machines. They expect numbers and power to win. We will use environment, unpredictability, and teamwork. They cannot win against a world that fights back. Liara leaned forward. You are asking much of our people, she said. They are not soldiers like you. Can they adapt to your ways? Voss smiled slightly. They already have. Today Zyphorans and humans fought together and won. Tomorrow we will win again. They only need guidance and courage. The following days became a rhythm of preparation and engagement. Humans led patrols into forests and mountains, teaching Xiferans to use terrain, timing, and tactics to their advantage. They trained scouts to read weather patterns, predict enemy movements, and communicate silently across vast distances. Liara noticed subtle changes in her people. Fear began to shift into confidence. Where panic had once spread, now there was determination. Humans had a way of inspiring others without even trying. It was not just their skill, it was their belief that survival was possible, even against overwhelming odds. Then the first full-scale Krathon attack occurred. A fleet of large ships entered Xifora's atmosphere, weapons primed. The Deathworlders had prepared. Humans guided Xiferan defenses, luring Krathons into natural traps. Orbital bombardments forced enemy ships into canyons and storm systems, while human strike teams disabled key enemy weapons. The battle raged through forests, mountains, and cities. Despite the chaos, humans stayed calm, directing every maneuver with precision. Xiferans fought alongside them, learning quickly. Some humans even risked their lives to protect civilians caught in the crossfire. By nightfall, the Krathons were forced to retreat. They had not been destroyed, but they had suffered significant losses. Xifora was scarred, but the people survived. The first major victory gave hope to a world that had feared extinction. Liara approached Captain Voss on a hill overlooking the battlefield. The moons glowed silver in the sky, casting light on the charred forests and ruined cities. "You have shown us that humans are not monsters," she said softly. "You are protectors. You teach without demanding blind obedience. You fight for others even when it is dangerous." Voss nodded. "That is what humans do. We survive and we help those who can survive with us. Fear is natural, but courage is choice. Today, Xiferans chose courage." Liara looked at the horizon, thinking of the days ahead. The Krathons would return. The real war was still to come. But now Xifora was not alone. Humans had arrived, and with them, hope. For the first time in generations, the people of Xifora believed they could survive, and the Deathworlders had already begun shaping the planet's defense into something far greater than any Xiferan could have imagined. Above, in orbit, the Iron Talon glimmered like a silent guardian. The fleet had shown its strength, its tactics, and its resolve. The Deathworlders were more than just warriors, they were a force of hope. A living proof that survival and heroism could exist even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. And as Xifora's twin suns set, casting golden light over forests and mountains, a quiet determination settled over the planet. The Krathons would learn soon enough. A world defended by humans was not a world that could be easily conquered. The battle had been won. The war was only beginning. The calm after the first skirmishes on Xifora lasted only a few hours. From the depths of space, a new shadow appeared. A massive Krathon invasion fleet, larger than anything the planet had seen before. Their ships blotted out stars, their weapons glowing red with deadly energy. Xifora's cities trembled as the fleet approached, and citizens scrambled to shelters. Captain Arik Voss stood on the bridge of the Iron Talon, his eyes fixed on the incoming ships. "This is no longer a scouting party," he said. "They are here to destroy. Every move we make must be precise. Humans and Xiferans fight together today, or Xifora falls." Lieutenant Mara studied the holographic display. Their formation is tight, coordinated. They are experienced. But they lack imagination. They fight like machines, predictable and controlled. Voss nodded. "Exactly. We will use that against them. Spread the defenses. Use the planet, the skies, and the forests. Remember, unpredictability is our weapon." On the ground, Counselor Liara gathered Xifora's leaders and remaining soldiers. "Listen carefully," she said. "The humans have shown us that we can survive, but today will test us all. We must trust their methods, even if they seem strange. Only by working together can we face the Krathons." The humans moved first. Strike teams deployed from dropships into forests, mountains, and volcano-rimmed plains. They carried weapons, energy devices, and traps designed to confuse and disable the enemy. Each squad was paired with Xiferan units, sharing knowledge, tactics, and coordination. From orbit, the Deathworlder fleet unleashed precision bombardments. Massive energy pulses forced Krathon ships into canyon systems and storm clouds. Each pulse was timed with human squads on the ground, creating traps that ensnared entire groups of enemy fighters. The Krathons were confident, attacking in predictable waves. But the humans anticipated every step. Forests concealed human sharpshooters who disabled Krathon weapons. Rivers were electrified to short out enemy machinery. Even Zephora's wildlife was cleverly used. Herds of large creatures driven to stampede through enemy lines, scattering them. Amid the chaos, Captain Voss coordinated with both fleet and ground forces. "Deploy the canyon traps," he ordered. "Time it with the storm clouds. Don't let them regroup." The human strategy worked flawlessly. Krathon ships faltered, some crashing into jagged cliffs, others trapped in swirling energy nets. The Zephorans stared in awe at the humans' efficiency. Where they had once panicked, they now followed instructions, creating a seamless defense line. Liara witnessed the bravery of the humans firsthand. One human squad, led by Sergeant Kellen, charged ahead of retreating Krathon forces to rescue a group of Zephoran civilians trapped in a collapsing canyon. Explosions rocked the mountains, but the humans navigated with skill, guiding the civilians to safety. "They are fearless," Liara whispered. "They risk everything to protect others, even when they face almost certain death." Hours passed, and the Krathons began to adjust, realizing the humans were not ordinary opponents. They changed their attack patterns, trying to bypass traps and overwhelm weaker Zephoran units. But humans adapted quickly, setting secondary traps and creating diversions that misled the enemy. The first major clash came near Vera City, a coastal metropolis surrounded by dense forests. A squadron of Krathon cruisers descended, weapons ready to obliterate the city. Human strike teams coordinated with Zephoran artillery, using the environment to their advantage. Rivers were diverted to flood landing zones. Forest concealed mines and energy nets. Human squads guided Zephoran defenders, timing attacks so the enemy would be trapped in a deadly combination of natural hazards and tactical firepower. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit up the city's outskirts as Krathon cruisers fell one by one into traps or were forced into storms. Human sharpshooters disabled ship systems from treetops. Zephorans marveled at their precision and coordination. Amid the fighting, Captain Voss noticed a larger Krathon ship moving independently, heading straight for the city's center. He knew it could destroy everything in moments. "Prepare the intercept teams," he ordered. "We cannot allow that ship to reach Vera City." Lieutenant Mara nodded. Ground teams and aerial squads converge. "Force it into the canyon traps." The humans moved with deadly efficiency. Using a combination of orbital bombardments and ground maneuvers, they guided the Krathon supership into a narrow canyon. Energy pulses disabled its engines, and human squads on the ground fired precision charges at critical systems. The ship crashed violently, sending a shockwave through the canyon, but the city remained intact. Zephoran citizens cheered from shelters, their fear slowly transforming into admiration. Humans were not just fighting, they were protecting, calculating, and inspiring courage. Liara approached Captain Voss after the clash. The sky glowed red from fires and explosions, but the humans remained calm. "You have saved Vera City," she said. "But the Krathons are not finished. They will return stronger. How can we prepare?" Voss studied the horizon, his expression serious. "They will adapt, yes. But so will we. Every battle teaches us something. Every failure and success builds our strategy. Zephora can survive if we continue to fight together. Humans, Zephorans, the planet itself, we all play a part." As night fell, humans and Zephorans regrouped. Casualties were minimal thanks to careful planning, but the planet bore scars of battle. Fires burned in forests, rivers were dammed, and craters dotted the plains. Despite this, morale was high. Humans had not only fought, they had shown that even against overwhelming odds, survival was possible. Captain Voss walked among his soldiers, checking on squads and equipment. "Rest if you can," he said. "Tomorrow the Krathons will return. But remember this, we are humans. We survive where others cannot. Zephora has strength now. The Krathons will learn that soon." In the council chamber, Liara addressed her people. "Today we have seen the humans' skill and courage. They fight not for glory, but for life, ours and theirs. Let us take courage from them. The Krathons are strong, but together we are stronger." Some Zephorans still doubted the humans. Their legends spoke of Deathworlders as violent and uncontrollable. But after witnessing the battle, many could not deny the truth. Humans were fighters, protectors, and problem solvers in ways Zephorans had never imagined. Over the next few hours, humans continued training Zephoran soldiers. They taught them how to read enemy movements, use the terrain effectively, and communicate silently across distances. Zephorans were quick learners, Inspired by the humans' relentless focus and discipline, Captain Voss and Lieutenant Mara also studied Krathon behavior. They fight with power, Mara said. They are strong but predictable, Voss nodded. Exactly. Brute strength is easy to see and counter, but we must stay creative. Every move, every trap, every decision must be smarter than theirs. That is how we win. By dawn, Zyphora's cities were ready. Humans had reorganized defenses, trained Zyphorans in new tactics, and set the planet's natural hazards as weapons against the Krathons. The first major attack had been repelled, and Zyphora survived. Liara stood on a hill overlooking the battlefield, her heart swelling with cautious hope. Humans had shown that fear could be overcome, that courage could inspire, and that even the strongest enemy could be resisted with intelligence and strategy. She thought of Captain Voss and his soldiers, strangers from a distant, harsh world who had risked everything to save Zyphora. Perhaps legends do not capture the truth, she whispered. Humans are not monsters, they are heroes. From orbit, the Iron Talon glimmered in the morning light, a silent promise that the Deathworlders would not abandon Zyphora. The Krathons had been delayed, but the war was far from over. And somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, the Krathon commanders observed the battlefield, confused and frustrated. Their machines of war were designed to crush worlds with ease. Yet Zyphora had resisted, and the humans were the reason. They did not yet understand the lesson that Zyphora and the humans would teach them. Survival. Courage and ingenuity were powers that no fleet, no weapon, and no machine could ever fully destroy. The first true clash had ended in Zyphora's favor. But both humans and Zyphorans knew the greater test awaited. The next battle would be larger, deadlier, and more decisive. And in the hearts of those who had fought and survived, one truth burned bright. With humans by their side, Zyphora had a chance. A chance that no Krathon fleet could easily take away. Zyphora's forests and mountains were scarred from the first clash, but hope had taken root among its people. Humans and Zyphorans worked side by side, learning from each other. While the first battle had been defensive, now Captain Arik Voss and his officers planned something greater. They would turn the planet itself into a weapon. From the Iron Talon, Voss studied the Krathon fleet movements. The enemy had retreated to repair their ships, but they would return stronger. This was the perfect time to prepare a counterattack. Every volcano, every storm, every forest can be used, Voss said to Lieutenant Mara. The Krathons rely on power and numbers. They expect us to run, hide, and fight conventionally. We will give them the opposite. We will make the planet fight with us. On the ground, humans trained Zyphoran units in unconventional strategies. Forest patrols learned to set camouflage traps and lure enemy squads into narrow passes. Mountain squads prepared rock slides triggered by careful timing. Even Zyphora's rivers were diverted to flood enemy landing zones. Liara moved among the troops, observing both humans and Zyphorans. She had begun to understand the humans' methods. They were not reckless, they were masters of adaptation. Where Zyphorans feared danger, humans saw opportunity. They do not fight the planet, Liara whispered to a junior officer. They fight with the planet, and they survive everything it throws at them. The humans also studied Zyphora's weather. They discovered that storms could be timed with energy pulses from orbital ships, creating a combined effect that would disrupt the Krathon's navigation and weapons. Lightning storms combined with electromagnetic charges could disable ships in midair. Captain Voss gathered his strike teams. Tomorrow, we strike first, he said. We will force the Krathons into Zyphora's worst. Heat, storms, rivers, forests, they will be our allies. Every attack they launch, they will regret. Night fell, but humans continued preparations. They set decoys in open plains, drilled escape routes through dense forests, and coordinated signals between ground teams and orbital units. Zyphorans assisted, amazed at how humans could predict the enemy's moves before they even happened. When the Krathon fleet returned, Zyphora was ready. The first signs of attack came from the skies, sleek red ships darting through storm clouds, weapons glowing. But the humans were already in position. From hidden mountain caves, human sharpshooters disabled key ships with precision energy pulses. Forests concealed ambush teams who struck from above with devastating accuracy. Rivers, carefully diverted, created natural traps that slowed enemy advances. The Krathons were powerful, but predictable. Humans and Xiphorans had learned their patterns and adapted. Every attack the enemy launched was countered with a combination of traps, ambushes, and controlled hazards. In the heart of the forest, Sergeant Kellen led a squad of humans and Xiphoran volunteers. A group of Krathon scouts advanced through a narrow valley. Kellen signaled, and the team triggered a rockslide. Boulders crashed down, trapping the scouts and causing them to retreat in confusion. Liara watched from an observation post. "They are teaching our people to fight in ways we never imagined," she said. "They turn every danger into a weapon. Every threat becomes a chance to win." Meanwhile, Captain Voss coordinated from the Iron Talon. He saw a larger Krathon ship moving toward the planet's volcanic plains. "It's heading for the magma fields," he said. "Prepare the traps. Force it into the vents." Ground teams lured the ship exactly as planned. Lava vents erupted, forcing the Krathon vessel to maneuver through narrow channels. Electromagnetic charges disabled its engines, and human strike squads fired energy charges at critical points. The ship crashed, leaving the volcanic plains smoking and scarred. The Xiphorans began to cheer. For the first time, they believed the Krathons could be defeated. They saw the humans not only surviving, but thriving in Xiphora's most dangerous environments. Humans had turned every hazard into an advantage, teaching Xiphorans to do the same. Captain Voss moved among his squads, checking traps and equipment. "Remember," he said, "the Krathons adapt. We must always stay one step ahead. Use the planet, use the environment, and use your mind. That is how we win." By midday, Xiphora's defenses were a complex web of traps, ambush points, and controlled hazards. Every mountain pass, forest clearing, and riverbed was prepared to disrupt the Krathons' movements. Humans and Xiphorans had worked together tirelessly, combining skill, knowledge, and courage. The next wave of Krathons arrived in full force. Massive ships descended, weapons ready to fire. But Xiphora had changed. They were no longer an open target. The humans' strategy forced the enemy into narrow valleys, storm clouds, and trap-laden forests. Explosions rocked the planet as Krathon ships faltered, disabled by clever tactics. Forests concealed human sharpshooters who disabled energy cannons. Rivers flooded landing zones, forcing enemy squads into vulnerable positions. Even Xiphora's wildlife, guided by humans, was used strategically, scattering enemy units and creating confusion. The largest Krathon vessel attempted to break through the volcanic plains. Captain Voss ordered ground teams to trigger hidden vents and energy charges. Lava erupted around the ship, forcing it into a narrow canyon. Energy nets disabled its engines, and human squads fired precision charges at critical systems. The ship crashed violently, sending tremors across the plains. Liara approached Voss after the attack. The planet glowed with fire and smoke, but the humans remained calm. "You have shown us what humans can do," she said. "You turn the planet into a weapon and teach us to do the same." Voss nodded. "That is how we survive. Courage alone is not enough. Strategy, adaptability, and teamwork make us unstoppable. Xiphora is no longer defenseless. You fight with us, and we fight for you." As night fell, humans and Xiphorans regrouped. They treated the wounded, repaired traps, and prepared for the next wave. Morale was high. The Krathons had been slowed, forced to retreat, and beaten in multiple engagements. Xiphora had survived another day, thanks to the humans' ingenuity and courage. Liara walked among her people, seeing their confidence grow. Where fear had once dominated, hope now spread. Humans had not only fought, they had inspired. Xiphorans learned to see danger as opportunity and adversity as a challenge. Captain Voss stood on a hill overlooking the battlefield, watching the Krathons retreat to orbit. "They will return," he said to Mara. "But every time they do, we will be ready. Every attack teaches us something new. Xiphora has strength now, and humans have shown them how to use it." The planet was quiet under the twin moons, a momentary peace after a day of chaos. Fires still burned, rivers ran through scarred forests, and mountains bore the marks of battle. But Zephora's people were alive. They had fought, survived, and learned to fight smarter. Liara gazed at the iron talon in orbit. The humans had not only protected her world, they had transformed it. The Zephyrans were no longer just survivors. They were allies, students, and warriors under the guidance of humans who thrived in the galaxy's deadliest conditions. From the shadows of space, the Krathons observed their failures. They had underestimated Zephora and the humans. Their power had been challenged by strategy, adaptability, and courage. They did not yet understand the lesson that Zephora would teach them. Survival was more than strength, and humans were more than warriors. They were protectors and teachers, capable of turning any world into a fortress. The battle for Zephora was far from over, but for the first time humans and Zephorans had turned the tide. They had learned to fight as one, using every advantage the planet and their combined ingenuity could provide. The Krathons would return, but when they did, they would face a force stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever before. And in the hearts of those who had survived, one truth was clear. With humans by their side, Zephora was no longer a world waiting to be destroyed. It was a world that could fight back and even win. The twin suns of Zephora rose over the horizon, casting golden light across forests, mountains, and cities still scarred from battle. The planet had survived the Krathons' initial attacks thanks to the humans' cunning strategies, but the greatest challenge was yet to come. The Krathons were returning with a massive fleet, determined to conquer Zephora once and for all. On the Iron Talon, Captain Arik Voss stood at the command console, studying the enemy formation. The Krathon ships were more numerous than before, their weapons fully loaded, and their intent clear: total destruction. "We face their main fleet today," he said to Lieutenant Mara. "They will strike with everything they have. Our task is to ensure they leave defeated." Mara's eyes scanned the holographic display. "Their formation is tight. They are fast and aggressive. Can our forces hold?" Voss's jaw tightened. "Not only hold, we will force them to fight on our terms. Every mountain, river, forest, and storm is prepared. Zephora itself will be our weapon, and humans will lead the charge." Below, on Zephora's surface, humans and Zephorans worked together. Villages were evacuated, civilians guided to safe zones by human strike teams. Forests were rigged with traps, rivers diverted, and volcanic plains readied as strategic hazards. Every detail was planned to force the Krathons into disadvantageous positions. Counselor Liara moved among the troops, observing the coordination between humans and Zephyrans. Her people had learned much from the humans: how to fight smart, how to use the environment, and how to trust in their own courage. "They are extraordinary," she whispered. "They do not simply fight. They turn the entire world into a weapon." As the Krathon fleet entered Zephora's atmosphere, the battle began. Massive energy beams lit the skies and explosions shook the ground. But the humans were ready. Orbital bombardments pushed Krathon ships into traps while ground teams directed Zephyran forces to ambush points. Forests concealed sharpshooters and energy traps, rivers slowed advancing squads, and volcanoes erupted with precise timing, forcing enemy ships into narrow channels. The humans moved swiftly, coordinating attacks across miles of terrain. Sergeant Kellen led a squad through a canyon, disabling Krathon landing teams with electrified nets and carefully placed energy charges. Another team guided a group of enemy ships into a forested valley, where collapsing trees and concealed mines forced them to retreat. Liara watched from her observation tower. "Our people are fighting with them," she said. "They are learning courage, strategy, and discipline. Humans have not only saved Zephora, they have changed it." The largest Krathon vessel, a massive warship bristling with weapons, attempted to break through to Vera City. Captain Voss acted immediately. "All units converge on the magma plains. Force the flagship into the volcanic traps. Timing is everything." Human squads led the Krathon vessel into a maze of natural hazards. Lava vents erupted, energy nets disabled engines, and sharp rock formations blocked escape routes. Zephyran artillery, guided by human strategy, targeted weak points, forcing the vessel into the heart of the volcano. A final energy charge erupted, and the ship was destroyed in a spectacular explosion. molten rock and fire illuminating the skies. The remaining Krathon ships faltered, their morale shaken by the loss of their flagship. Humans pressed the advantage, coordinating with Xipheran units to force enemy squadrons into prepared zones. Rivers, forests, and mountains became deadly obstacles. Every attack the Krathons launched was met with countermeasures that used the planet itself against them. In the chaos, Captain Voss led a daring strike team into the heart of the enemy formation. With Xipheran guides and human precision, they disabled key weapon systems on multiple ships, forcing them to retreat. The humans' combination of bravery, intelligence, and adaptability overwhelmed the Krathons, who had underestimated Xiphora's defenses and the humans' ingenuity. Liara approached Voss after the battle. The skies were still smoky and the ground bore the scars of war, but Xiphora had survived. "You have saved our people," she said. "More than that, you have shown us what it means to fight together. Humans are not just warriors. You are teachers, protectors, and heroes." Voss shook his head slightly. "We are simply humans. We survive and we help others survive. That is all. Courage and strategy win battles, not fear." Xipherans cheered from their cities and hills, witnessing the retreat of the Krathons. For the first time, they felt hope instead of fear. They had not only survived, but had learned the power of adaptation, strategy, and unity under the humans' guidance. The Krathons retreated to orbit, defeated but alive. They would survive to fight another day. But Xiphora had proven that it could not be easily conquered. The humans had turned an ordinary planet into a fortress, and Xipherans had learned to fight in ways they had never imagined. As the twin moons rose over the horizon, casting silver light across forests and plains, Captain Voss addressed both humans and Xipherans. "Today we survived. We fought together using every advantage Xiphora offers. Remember this: courage, strategy, and unity are stronger than fear, stronger than brute force. The Krathons may return, but they will find a world that is ready." Liara stepped forward. "You have not only saved Xiphora, you have changed our understanding of courage, strength, and survival. Humans are unlike any beings we have known. We owe you our lives and more. You have earned our respect and our trust." Voss nodded. "Trust is earned through action, not words. Today we acted. Tomorrow we remain vigilant. Survival is a choice, not a guarantee." For Xiphora, the battle had been transformative. Humans had shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage, intelligence, and teamwork could turn the tide. Xipherans, once fearful and hesitant, now stood ready to defend their world with confidence, inspired by humans' resilience and ingenuity. In the days following the battle, humans and Xipherans worked together to rebuild damaged cities, repair infrastructure, and strengthen defenses. The planet was scarred, but its spirit was stronger than ever. Humans trained Xipheran soldiers in advanced tactics, creating a force capable of standing against future threats. Liara walked through a rebuilt village, observing Xipheran civilians and human soldiers working side by side. Children played in the streets while engineers repaired energy barriers and fortifications. The humans had not only fought, they had taught, inspired, and guided. "They are extraordinary," Liara said to a colleague. "They fight with skill, courage, and honor, and they teach others to do the same. I have never seen anything like it." Captain Voss aboard the Iron Talon monitored the rebuilding efforts. "Xiphora is strong," he said to Lieutenant Mara, "but strength is not just about power. It is about learning, adapting, and believing in yourself. That is the lesson humans bring to every world they touch." As the twin suns set, casting golden light over the forests and mountains, a quiet understanding settled over Xiphora. Humans had arrived not just as warriors, but as allies, protectors, and teachers. The planet had survived its greatest threat, and its people had grown stronger, braver, and wiser. From orbit, the Iron Talon and the rest of the Deathworlder fleet glimmered in the fading light. The humans had fulfilled their promise. Xiphora had not fallen. They had fought with intelligence, courage, and unity, and they had proven that even against a superior enemy, survival and victory were possible. Liara stood on a hilltop watching the fleet. "Humans," she whispered, "you are more than legends. You are our hope, our protectors, and our teachers. We will never forget what you have done." Captain Voss, watching Xiphora from orbit, reflected on the battle. "We do not seek glory," he said quietly. "We seek survival, and we help those who fight to survive with us. That is all humanity asks. The Krathons would return one day. The galaxy was vast and danger was never far. But Xiphora was no longer a helpless world. It had humans by its side, fighters who could survive anywhere, adapt to any danger, and inspire courage in those around them. And in the hearts of Xiphorans, one truth burned brighter than ever. With humans standing beside them, they could face any threat, endure any hardship, and survive against impossible odds. The battle was over, but the legend had just begun. Zephora had survived because humans had answered their call, and in doing so, they had reminded the galaxy that humanity's courage, ingenuity, and determination were powers that no enemy could ever fully overcome. Zephora was safe. For now, and the Deathworlders, as always, were ready for whatever came next.